good to see everybody here. We're still in the book of James, picking up in verse 3. Last week I was talking about taking joy or counting it as joy to go through trials and temptations. And continuing that thought, starting with verse 3. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith. Right there it tells us, along with the verse from last week, to take joy. But when we have trials and temptations, and knowing this, that the trying of our faith, we are going to face trials. Nowhere in there does it say a Christian life is a rose garden. We will have trials. We will have temptations. And everything that is thrown at us is a testing of our faith. And the rest of the verse, worketh patience, or bringeth forth patience, in verse 3. We have a big trial. How do we normally respond?
We get upset. They're hard.
Yeah. But I want this to be over now. I don't need this. My life's complicated enough. I don't need this. I shouldn't have to go through this. I learned that lesson last week. Why am I going through it again? Now, I don't have time for this. I'm a busy person. I've got places to go, things to do. I don't have time to deal with this. How many of us respond like that usually?
Most anybody, to be honest.
Yeah. But trials worketh patience. And many of you remember the 1970s show, or is in the 70s, Kung Fu, starring David Carradine, where he was being taught by the master how to do Kung Fu and different things. And there was one line the master usually told the student. Patience, grasshopper. Why was he always telling the student patience? He's trying to teach the student that it's better to step back from a problem. Don't rush into it. Take a breath. Look at it. Look at it from all around, different sides. Think through different things, different situations. No, don't rush into it like a bull in a china shop and just breaking everything as you go through. But to step back, take a deep breath and slowly exhale. And examine it. Give it to God. Let God have it. And what happens when we do that? Well, it usually happens when grasshopper exercise patience. The problem usually resolves itself. It has a good outcome. And the outcome is better than any outcome you could have dreamed of, that you could have thought of on your own. Why is that? You let God have control. You gave Him the reins. And you said, here, you take this. I'm not getting involved with it. It's yours. You straighten it out for me. And that's what James is telling us here. That when we give it to God and exercise patience, our faith will deepen because God will take care of it. And it will come out better than we could have imagined. Patience, grasshoppers, what James is saying. Continue on with verse 4. Let patience have her perfect work. Now, what does he mean by that? Have her perfect work. This, if we let God have control of the problem, and we're just patient, and we wait on God, the problem will take care of itself, works itself out. God works it out for us. And our faith is strengthened because we step back from it, we let God have control, and He takes care of it. And so we know that if we let God have control, our patience is longer, and God works everything out. Our faith deepens, it grows. That ye may be perfect and entire, lacking nothing. What does that mean? When we give our problems to God and let Him take care of them, we usually have an easier time handing the reins over to Him the next time. Because we're able to say, hey, I had a problem before. I gave it to God. He took care of it. And I had a better outcome than I could have expected. So, I'm going to give it to Him again. Let Him take care of it. And we keep on doing that until finally God controls every aspect of our life. Now, I'm not preaching a prosperity gospel here. This is growing our faith and deepening our faith in God. It is not, you do this for me, and I'll worship you, then you give me this. It's not that. It's, I am growing in faith, trusting in you, and you alone. A good example of this, I heard on the radio yesterday as I was going to Owensboro to mow my yard over there. On 89.9. It's a radio program, Ranger Bill. It's a theatrical type production. And it's kind of dated. You know, if you listen to it, you'll find out it's dated, but it's about forest rangers and how this one ranger works, but he's always talking about God too. Well, this particular episode yesterday, one of the rangers in his district who took care of the books for the district was having a problem. The books were not balancing. He had nearly a $6,000 discrepancy in the books. And the annual audit for his district was coming up in a couple of days. And he was going through, he went through the books multiple times. He went through them so much he could almost repeat them page by page. That's what he said. And he could not find where the discrepancy was. And he always wound up the exact same figure. Now, for those of you that know anything about accounting, if you have a discrepancy and you can't account for it, you can't say, this is where the discrepancy took place and it's what we did to fix it. You get arrested and go to jail. Because they start saying, maybe you did something with the money and you're hiding it from us. So, he was worried about that, about getting arrested because he couldn't find the discrepancy, but yet he knew he didn't make the mistake. And he was also starting to get short with his family because he was stressing out about the audit that was coming up, being able to explain what happened to the money. Well, he stayed out late one night and his wife was worried about him, and so she called basically his boss, Ranger Bill. They come into town, look for him. One place they look is the office. They're going through all the paperwork and they see that there's a discrepancy in the books. So they kind of figured it had something to do with that. They eventually find him. And they talk to him, and he's all worried about being arrested and ruining the reputation of the Rangers, ruining his family's name, bringing shame upon the community and on the Rangers and everything. And Ranger Bill says, hold on there. I'm sure we can find it. Let us take a look. And they do, but they don't find a problem. And Bill calls up his boss and tells him what's going on, that they've been looking, can't figure out where the problem is. And the boss thanks him for letting him know ahead of time, letting him know that, yeah, there's an audit coming up and we are aware of this problem. This way it makes it easier for him to say, yes, I knew the problem was there and my people were trying to resolve it. Anyways, the auditors come in, of course they found the problem. So that brings in another group, they go through, find the problem and the discrepancy, and they get a warrant for his arrest. And they try to arrest him. They want to arrest him. But Ranger Bill goes, he gets the best accountant for the area from the university and brings him back. And they go through all the current books. They can't find a discrepancy. But then they start going back to other years. And they finally find where the discrepancy took place. And they find it, and it was an event that happened before the current bookkeeper took the job. Now, throughout this whole process, the bookkeeping ranger was worried that they weren't going to find it and worried he was going to be going to jail, and he knew he wasn't the one that caused the problem. And he was all worried about it. But they find the problem. And they see where the mistake was made. And they get it all corrected. And so, the ranger does not get arrested because they found the problem, were able to account for everything. And instead of just going on with their life, with his life, Bill is talking to him. And the ranger is relieved because they had found the problem. It had worked out. And he, instead of losing faith in God, it deepened, it strengthened his faith. Even though he was worried about going to jail, he allowed others to come in and work on the problem for him to try to help him find where it was. And so he strengthened his faith, like James is telling us here. His faith grew in God. And he also went away praising God and remembering, anytime he would have a problem similar to that, he would remember that God is always with him and that God will work it out. And of course, they were trying to emphasize, going back to Deuteronomy, that God is always with us. They discussed the verse or scripture back in Deuteronomy where God is telling Israel, I will always be with you. I have always been with you. Just have faith in me. And that's the same thing here with James. He's telling us to have faith in God. He will always be with us. He is always there, looking out for us. All we have to do is step back, take our hands off of it, and say, God, it's yours. You take control of it. And we will trust you in whatever happens. And so as we get ready to have our invitation, if there's anything you would like to pray about, situations in your life that are going on, you need to step back and give it to God. You can come up to the front and we will pray about it and ask God to take control of it. And we will work with you through it. And God will work through it.
Number 183.
Hymn 183. Or if there's any other decision you need to make, please come forward and we'll discuss it.